Hello everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and I've kept it off for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitation in your weight loss and maintenance. Today I'm going to answer a question from somebody about whether or not you should have mirrors and scales in your house when you're losing weight. Now before I begin, if you need help from the weight loss perspective, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. As you see, I have pretty good reviews. Also check out my website, which has hundreds of articles and recipes. My podcasts, The Awakened Man and The Cinema Rag, are also at my website, so you can check them out over there. And check out my books on Amazon. And lastly, if you appreciate my content, there is a link for PayPal. I would appreciate a donation. All right, so I got a message from somebody who is losing weight and they've lost about 20 pounds. They have another 20 to go. And he wanted my take on mirrors and scales. And his perspective is, I, like a lot of people, and like I was when I was fat, like I don't want mirrors around because mirrors remind me how fat I am. And some people don't want to be reminded of that because it's going to kick into the self-loathing. And even though he's losing the weight, it's going to kick into self-loathing, and therefore you may be more likely to start eating again or drinking too much and so forth. And he wants to know my take on scales as well. Should I have a scale in the house? All right, so let's do the scale one first, because I actually do have a video here on weighing yourself, how often you should weigh yourself, because I think this is pretty important, because scales are ubiquitous, and whether or not you're regular weighted, overweight, or morbidly obese, there is a question of weighing yourself, because people like to weigh themselves. I've talked about in Reflections of a Weight Loss Warrior, my playlist that chronicles my time after weight loss, that at the beginning in my college years, I would weigh myself every Friday, and I would starve myself during the week and then binge on the weekend after my weigh-in. And then on Fridays, I would spend like an hour in the steam room to make sure I was ideal for my weigh-in, like I was a boxer. And I would weigh myself every week. But then after a little while, I'd say after about 10 years, I just stopped weighing myself, because it depends on your personality. Like if you are kind of a neurotic and you tend to have OCD tendencies and you fixate, it's not good to have a scale in your house, because you'll be weighing yourself daily, even more than daily, twice daily, 3 times daily. And ultimately, you can get so fixated on that number. And understand, our weights fluctuate all the time, certainly if you're working out and when you eat and so forth. So if you are weighing yourself, you should weigh yourself at the same time of the day, whether it be weekly, monthly, but always in the morning or in the evening or whatever it is, just to have a uniform weight. I would tell you as a whole, and this is just my opinion, what's worked for me, I don't like to weigh myself. I haven't weighed myself in years. And then you ask, well, like Gregory, then how do you know how much you weigh? Well, it's like, you know, by your clothes. Your clothes kind of give you an indication of how things fit. Because, you know, we like to think when we gain weight, oh, my clothes are shrinking. But we know the clothes kind of give an accurate indicator. So you have to kind of know your personality. If you have the personality that kind of fixates on these things, probably don't weigh yourself that often. If you don't have that personality, then you can weigh yourself. I always say once a week is adequate, especially if you're doing weight loss or if you're doing weight maintenance right after weight loss. Now, in terms of the mirror, I can relate to that. I mean, there was a time in my life when I didn't have a beard, and I would shave in the dark or just have a very dim light on. And when I would shave, because I was worried that I would see my bloopy if I was shaving, because typically I would shave like after I got out of the shower, before I got out of the shower. So I wouldn't want to see my bloopy. So I can understand the idea of not having, like, especially full length mirrors around in the house. And I think this goes back to your personality too, and kind of your own personal trauma. And if you feel like having mirrors around the house, either because you're still overweight or you're losing weight because you don't want to see the love handles and the stretchy skin and all these things, I mean, that's ultimately your preference as to what you like. I do have a video here about how we should be proud of our post-weight loss bodies, because yes, even though they might not be perfect or ideal, we need to love ourselves, because hating ourselves leads to self-destructive behaviors like binge eating. So we need to learn to love our bodies wherever they're at. And you can love your body and love who you are, but maybe not like where your body's at this given moment. And that's fine too. And that can maybe be a motivator to help you lose the weight. But some people have like a negativistic, self-loathing, almost like a masochistic view of themselves. And if they see themselves overweight or not looking great, I suck, I'm horrible, you know. So if you're one of those types, then don't have mirrors in the house. So ultimately, it's really up to you. Like with the scales, it's really up to you as to what are your triggers, as to what's going to make you engage in bad behavior, and if you have certain triggers. And it doesn't have to be scales and mirrors. Maybe it's like looking up your ex-boyfriend or something like that. Avoid triggers, right? It makes sense. Avoid triggers if you have triggers that are going to spark you to do bad behavior. But in general, ultimately, it's up to you about the mirrors and so forth. I will say personally, I do have full-length mirrors, but I don't look at myself naked in full-length mirrors. I know women will do this. And look, if you have somebody in your life who is a female in particular, who has no problems being naked in front of the mirror, like because they're doing their hair or whatever, not because they're like flaunting and like that, but if they're just doing there and they're totally comfortable naked, that's a great sign if somebody has good body image, because they don't see anything negative or positive about it. Like, a lot of people have body dysmorphia, especially women on social media. So when they look in the mirror, they see a woman that's fatter than who they really are. So if you are with somebody, a guy or a girl who can just walk around, look themselves in the mirror, and not like in a vanity kind of way, but just look themselves in the mirror and be fine, that's a great sign. And that's ultimately where I want to get there. But even for me, I don't go out of my way to look at a mirror of myself naked, because I still have my bloopy, and maybe I'm not going to like the way I look. And I don't think at this point it's going to trigger me to binge eat or anything like that. But it's just like one of those things where it's like, I don't need to look at myself in the full-length mirror. And if I know nothing positive is going to come out of it, why do I need to do it? But ultimately, it's really up to you. Guys, post in the comments, do you weigh yourself? Do you have mirrors? I'd like to hear from you. Until next time, take care. God bless. Subscribe. Share with others.